Hi, I'm Mary Greendale, and this is Just Thinking, and I'm doing another interview of candidates who are running for local office for the June 23rd election. Today, I'm interviewing Scott Ferkler, who is running for the planning board. He is in a contested race with Jeff Zemer. Have not heard from Mr. Zemer at this point, but I'm going to proceed with Scott's and we'll go from there. So the election, as I said, is June 23rd. I'm going to have a few more words about that at the end, but let's meet Scott. He and I just met, so this is new for all of us. So Scott, welcome.
Hi, Mary.
Hi. So tell us about yourself.
Sure. Yeah, my name's Scott Ferkler. I have a wife and a 4.5-year-old son named Jackson. We are relative newcomers to town. We've only lived in Holliston less than a year. However, I grew up right down the street in Hopkinton, so I am a lifelong resident of the Metro West area.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm happy to hear that you haven't been here that long. And the reason I am is because we need some real young, new blood. I think it's great. Fantastic. So what do you do professionally?
So I have a business background. I graduated from Bentley University. I have about 15 years experience with various companies from all sizes. I've worked for companies that are relatively small, about 15 million in annual revenue, all the way up to large multi-billion-dollar global corporations. Right now, I'm a finance manager for the TJX companies. I work specifically for the home goods division, and I've been there about 8 years.
Okay. Are you primarily in finance, or does that change?
So I've worked in accounting as well as finance in my professional career.
Okay. So what made you decide to run for the planning board?
You know, I've always been really interested in town government. All the way back to high school, one of the projects we had in our senior year history class was called the Local Government Project. And they paired everybody up with various boards or committees in town. And I happened to be paired up with the Conservation Commission. And the project consisted of going to meetings, interviewing board members, really understanding what the board did and how it sort of interacted with the other boards in town. And I was really interested by the whole project. I've always been interested in government in general. And I think that, you know, I'm not a well-known person. I'm not a celebrity. I'm not a millionaire. So I think that local government, it's really the one place where sort of an average person can get involved and really sort of make their voice heard. So when I heard about this seat, I was really excited at the opportunity to just get involved.
That's great. That's really great. I'm assuming that somewhere along the line you've been coached on what the planning board does and that it's, you know, grounded in land use and all that kind of stuff. So what skills and experience do you think you can apply to this position?
Yeah, so I think if I think back to my professional experience and what I do at work, I think a lot of what we do is really looking at things from all angles, holistically understanding a problem, asking kind of probing questions before we arrive at a solution that's the most beneficial. I think that's a lot of the skills that I would bring to the table. I think one thing that we do a lot is really not make knee-jerk reactions based on initial emotion and really digging into something and understanding it from all angles before we sort of move forward with something.
Well, the good news is that the planning board is usually a slow process, so you'll have plenty of time to do that. Do you have any land use or growth concerns about the town?
So I grew up in Hopkinton, and that town has gone through a lot of changes in the past probably 40 years. I've seen what good development can do for a town and the really positive impact that it can have. And I've also sort of seen what overdevelopment can do and what I would consider probably to be more negative impacts. So I think for me, it's less a concern of what do we need to do differently, because I think that the town is really, it's on a great path. It's more for me, what do we continue to do well?
Okay, that's good. Is there something specific about on the planning board? Is there anything in their processes or how they deliberate or whatever that interests you or you think might want to work on?
Yeah, so I'd really love to see a little bit maybe more time taken when sort of votes are taken. I understand that a lot of the times the applicants will ask for a vote the same night. And I think that that really doesn't give the board enough time to really understand the implications of what they're looking at. Obviously, when an applicant comes in front of you, a lot of times they're going to have potentially attorneys, maybe consultants, and everything they lay out is with the intention of getting you to vote in a certain way. And I think if you were to make a decision too quickly, taking everything at face value, I don't know that you would leave yourself enough time to really think through it. So what I would love to see become more of the norm is maybe some site visits, speaking to abutters whenever possible, just to really understand, sort of the wider reaching sort of unintended consequences.
Okay. So at the end of the 5-year term, you do know this is a 5-year term, right?
I do, yes.
This is the big one. This is the whole enchilada. So at the end of your 5-year term, how will you measure your own success on the board?
I think if people in town can look back over the past 5 years, and if they're happy and satisfied with the decisions that have been made and the developments that have been approved over that period, I think that that's sort of how I would measure success.
Okay. Have you ever had to go before the planning board in a private capacity yourself?
I have not,
no. No. Have you been to any of the meetings? Or we don't. Unfortunately, HCAT doesn't very typically. We don't.
No, I know that they're on the Zoom platform now, so I have popped in and out to a few of the meetings. I have also been to meetings of other towns' various boards as well. So I'm pretty familiar with the process in general.
Okay. So one of the things that I have heard a lot over my lifetime here is accusations, almost charges to or about the planning board because they never do any planning. Mm-hmm. And so my question here is that planning board kind of planning is targeted to land use. So the plans are intended to say, we want this area to be industrial, or we want this area to be, whatever the other area is. So it's not about planning for the whole town if it's not grounded in the land. That's as applies to the planning board. So when people call for a master plan, there is a legal definition for master plan. It revolves around a plan, a document that's prepared through the planning board, and it is based on land. Now, that's not the only way that you can do planning. And so the select board and the finance committee and the school committee are discussing the need for a townwide vision and a strategic plan to help guide decisions in the next 5 to 10 years. What do you think is the planning board's role in developing and implementing such a plan?
Yeah, I think they can get involved in a lot of ways. I think it's all about collaboration. I think just because maybe you're not specifically in charge of a certain thing, it doesn't mean that you can't be involved in the decision-making process. I think the planning board has a lot to offer. I understand that the town just went through some rezoning, and I think that's a really positive thing. I think clearer zoning without sort of like clusters of different zone parcels, it makes things more clear, makes things better for residents as well as businesses. One thing I'd love to see is maybe better access to local businesses from the rail trail. I think that maybe if you're out riding a bike or walking with your family, if you could more easily stop in for a coffee or grab an ice cream, I think that's great from a quality of life standpoint. And I think it'd be a really positive thing for local businesses also.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So have you been involved? Well, you haven't been here very long, so you probably haven't had a chance to meet up with all the other organizations and activities in town. Mm-hmm. And for the last 2 or 3 months, you haven't been allowed to do any of them.
Right.
I'm assuming you're new to that.
Yes. Yes. We're a young family. Like I said, my son he'll be 5 in the fall, and we're really excited to get him involved in some of the sports programs in town. I played soccer growing up, and it was a great experience for me. I had a lot of fun, met a ton of friends, and we'd love for our son to have that same experience. So, as he starts school and kind of progresses that way, I just see us sort of becoming more and more involved as time goes on.
Sort of on a sidebar question, how's he doing with this whole lockdown and all that?
Yeah, it's been tough. He definitely misses school. we're lucky enough. My sister lives close by, and she has a 2-year-old son, and they do play together. They see each other once a week, so he always looks forward to Tuesdays because he gets to see his cousin. It's been a challenging time, but we're making the best of it.
Are you both working at home?
We are, yes. We've been both working from home in the past 2 months or so.
Yeah. Well, that all makes it very, very challenging.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, why should people vote for you?
Yeah, I think people should vote for me because I think I represent a relatively large and probably growing demographic in town of relative newcomers to town, young families, people who chose Holliston and moved here not because we want to change it, but because we like the way things are right now. We did a lot of research when we were looking for a house, and I'm really glad that we chose Holliston. I love the sort of the rural small town look and feel, and that's one of the things that I would really like to preserve.
Okay. Is there anything that you'd like to add that we have not talked about, or any other comments about town?
Just really happy to be here, and thank you for reaching out. I think this is a great forum, and I'm really happy to have been a part of it.
Oh, well, you're more than welcome. Yeah, I typically do interviews with candidates that are in contested seats and let them, answer the same questions. And I think it's a really fair way for a viewer to then kind of do a comparison. I'm not a big fan of debates, and I've been trying to get in touch with the national committees to remind them that there's a better way to do it, but so far I've had no luck. Anyway, so thank you. And I just want to talk a bit about the upcoming election. On another segment, I interviewed Elizabeth Greendale, who is the town clerk. And because of the COVID virus, everything's upended about how we're doing that. So first of all, actual election day is the 23rd of June, and the hours are from 12 to 4 in the high school gym. Now, the layout in the gym and the access to the gym will all be different, all in an interest of spreading people farther apart so that nobody's exposed to the virus. That's one piece. The hours are only 12 to 4 to limit the numbers of people, limit the numbers of interaction. But the big thrust is to encourage people to vote in advance of June 23rd. Vote by mail, and the process to do that is to go to the town's website, scroll down to the bottom, and click on the town clerk link for the town election ballot. And all you have to do is follow the click, fill out an application requesting a ballot, scan it, email it back to town hall, and they'll mail you the ballot. And then you fill it out, follow the instructions accordingly, put a stamp on it, and mail it back. So if people are confused as you're doing your campaigning and talking to folks, not that you can do that much these days, that's got to be hard. Just that's the way in which things are working this year. Very, very different from what we typically do. But at any rate, encourage people to vote early, get it done with, and then the votes aren't run through the machines until the 23rd, starting at noon. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me. Good luck. Good luck with your efforts of getting the word out. It's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging because this is such a quirky time. But anyway, good luck to you. And this is Mary Greendale for Just Thinking, and I'll catch up with you next time. And please stay safe.